Hello, I'm Stacey Mallory, and this is Cal D, and welcome to Charters Talk 4630. If this is your first time here, we welcome you and ask that you follow this podcast by pressing on the subscribe button. This way, you'll be notified whenever this podcast goes on live or release the latest content. You can also listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. And please go to the web and check out some hot topics involving the Charters on stormcloud.blog, which is run by our very own Cal D.
I'm in San Diego. It's
You're in
6
San
6
Diego.
right now. We're getting a later start, which is nice. We've had a chance to let the coffee set in. It's all good, man.
Yeah, well, good morning, man. And
good morning to you too.
I like San Diego, man. I would love to live in San Diego. I really would. It's expensive though.
Well, to the fans, so they know, I've been trying to get Stacey to come out here. I've sent him some links to a timeshare down on the beach that I'm trying to get him to, something like that. We'll get you down here, Stacey. I know you're coming in 4 weeks for week 4.
Yes.
I'm going to try to get up there too, so I can meet you and your son in person.
Yes.
But
yes.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But no matter what, we got to get you down here too, to San Diego and Carlsbad at some point.
Yes, that would be nice, man. I'm looking forward to that game, and hopefully we're 3-0 going into that game. And I always liked San Diego. Me and my wife been there several times. As long as it makes financial sense, that's a place that we're looking at in maybe 2 years. So I want to start off by saying happy anniversary, because I know my wife will be watching. Today, I said I do on this day 26 years ago.
That's awesome.
And so it's been a beautiful journey, and looking forward to as many more years as God would allow us to be here. So what you been up to?
A lot of family stuff. Okay. And, trying to stay busy with work. But yeah, I haven't been able to dive in as much into the writing and stuff like that because it's just been chaos. We've had a celebration of life and a 90th birthday this weekend, and chasing around the little one. And I have a client that we're really trying to get into a property in San Diego right now, looking all over the place and writing offers. But we're excited to start the football season this 100%. Sunday.
Yes, finally here.
I told you, big marriage test. We have company coming in, so I'm not able to actually watch the game live. But so I will have it taped. It will be, so
you're not going to be peeking on your phone sometime, looking at the score. That would drive me crazy.
My clients need to look at properties on that day. So so I'm already double booked, Stacey. I got the game night thing that we got pushed to the day. So it's a game day. Okay. Sometime throughout that, I'm going to have to go show some property. So I'm in trouble. I will have that respect the pause thing ironed out. There will be no peeking. There will be no nothing. I want to enjoy it for what it is when I can. So we'll see.
Yes, I understand. So that game is 4. So here it'll be
1 o'clock.
So where you are is 1 o'clock. It's 4 o'clock here.
You got it.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. And you're going to be working, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's the problem with being a real estate agent, man.
Yeah, I understand. Well, look, I want to get into some of this. I was reading a few weeks ago about a conversation that Derwin James had with Daniel Popper, a beat writer for the Chargers, and he talked about some of his struggles last season with regards to like his discipline on the field. That had many people saying under Brandon Staley, the defensive players were given like sometimes 6 reads and more to make before they could even react to a play, and it may have made them play slower, which is the reason for people out there looking confused, not communicating. It led to some bad defense. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think a lot of stuff has come out since Brandon got fired that basically alluding to him having a very high level, acumen for what you could draw up on a board, right? Like that man could probably out football us all day on a whiteboard, but you got to make that stuff translate on the field. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of his stuff was based in like theory, based on what could and should work. And like Derwin said, too many reads, and Ryan Watkins did a great article on this on Stormcloud. So go check that out, everybody.
Yes.
Stormcloud.blog. But like you said, you have too many reads, and that's going to lead to guys playing a little slow, and it's going to lead to mix up. Each read that a guy's got to make is one other area for potential miscommunication or failure or misreading it. So, and we saw that time and time again last year. So
we did.
And really, if it gets lost on us, Stacey, because it lost season at that point. But when Staley was let go and they simplified the defense did look better
Yes,
despite
it
all the
did.
injuries.
Yes,
So
it did.
a lot of reasons for optimism there, and I definitely expect Irwin to really come back in a big way under Minter.
Yeah, so do I. I don't think Derwin is slipping at all. You know, Derwin was all pro for a couple of years. And then when Brandon came, it wasn't just Derwin. It seemed like the entire defense. I mean, for us to have the highest payroll for paying a defense, I mean, we had star power everywhere on every level on defense, but yet we ended up at the bottom in against the run. The only bright spot was Khalil Mack. He was a bright spot in such a horrible season last year. But I'm looking for Durbin to get back to that all-pro level. But Rodney Harrison, he was a great safety for us. He was one of my favorite Charger players. He was fined and suspended multiple times in his career. And even in 2002, he had racked up over $200,000 in fines by the NFL. And he was also suspended in 2002 after a helmet-to-helmet hit on, at the time, Oakland Raiders' Jerry Rice. And I saw an interview with Rodney Harrison back, I believe, in 2013, where he said, I played with a lot of aggression. I played with the physicality needed to play the safety position. And if you took that from his game, he would not be the player that he was. Kyle, what made Derwin James an intimidating presence is because he has some of those same traits as Harrison, as he was seen punishing players, roaming in his area code, so to speak, on the field. And now he's kind of caught up in the middle with the league, trying to take away those hard hits for safety reasons, of course, but he struggled to adjust his style regarding the way the league wants defenders to tackle. What adjustments you think Jesse Minter needs to make to Derwin's game to get him back to the all-pro player we've grown accustomed to seeing?
Oh, that's a great question, Stacey. I think freeing him up on the front end of plays will help him be a little clearer on the back end. I think he was just overthinking everything at that point.
Yes.
Like we said, he had 6 reads on some plays or whatever that was, playing so many different positions, doing so many different things. A lot of that coverage was, based on you had to drop into different zones based on what what routes they were running. Your assignments could change post snap based on that. So having a very clear role and direction and freed up a little bit to play the way he wants to play, react how he wants to react off what he sees, not what he thinks Staley would see and wants him to do. I think we free him up in a big way that would just make him play a little with a clear head. I think when those helmet to helmets started racking up and he already had a lot of confusion going on and different stuff, it looked like there were times where it just kind of looked like he was breaking down mentally. Like you could tell he was frustrated, like just, and he was unfairly targeted on a lot of those too. A lot of them,
I agree.
Are his shoulder, the way he comes in so aggressively that it looks like a helmet to helmet, but you slow it down. It's like, that's not a helmet to helmet. That's his shoulder.
Right.
Once
you start getting that reputation, and there's those bang, bang plays, they start calling those plays, even though it was a good clean hit where he used his shoulder, but because he was starting to get that reputation around the league to kind of like be on the borderline of giving dirty hits, he started getting unnecessary flags. And I so clearly saw that. I want to give a little bit of love to, because for the years, we constantly struggled. I remember the early years where we had in like the 70s and early 80s, Rolf Benerski, and then we had John Carney. And then later we had Nate Kading, who was a great kicker in the regular season, although he's more known for me for those 2 playoff games with the Jets. If he just made a field goal, we would have won those games. And then we had the Young Hoo Koo and Nick Novak. And Young Hoo Koo, I remember under Anthony Lynn, the first 4 games of the season, we could have won the game with a field goal within his range, not a long field goal. I think the longest was a 40, and he missed all of them. And we started out 0-4 that year because we just didn't have any consistency from a field goal kicker. But we got a guy named Cameron Dicker right now, and I love that dude. I mean, look, when you playing in a league where when you come to play the Chiefs or you play the Baltimore Ravens or like the Tennessee Titans, these teams that got tough defenses and the games are going to be close, your field goal kicker going to become your most important player on the field. Cameron Dicker, like last year, like he was AFC Special Teams Player of the Month for December. In college, he kicked a 53-yard field goal in the 2020 Alamo Bowl, which is still the longest field goal in college football. I'm so happy to have a kicker. I think this guy is 50 or 53 so far in his career.
It's lights out.
Lights out, man. In games that Harbaugh is going to coach, I got a feeling until things kick in the middle of the season, it's going to get ugly. It's going to be muddy. It's not going to look pretty. But I think Cameron Dick are going to play a big role because I think even this game against the Raiders, a lot of people thinking revenge. I think this is going to come down to about 2 plays. And I trust Harbaugh more than I would trust Antonio Pierce in this game.
Oh, yeah. And Stacey, they didn't need to re-sign him yet. That's what, or extend him. That's what's really impressive. They had another year of control on him where they could exercise the restricted free agent tender, and chose to negotiate with him then. And they still made him one of the higher paid kickers in the league. So that shows you how much they believe in Dicker. And you're starting to see, we joke about this being Ravens West. How is it not Ravens West at this point? Like we've identified our Tucker. We've also identified our Ricard. You know, we got a 300-pound fullback converted from defensive tackle. That's Patrick Ricard right there. And now we got Scott Matlock. Like they're doing a lot of things that are very similar. The difference is the Ravens have a bigger rushing threat at quarterback. Lamar is excellent at that. But the Chargers have a surgeon with a howitzer of an arm at playing quarterback. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. I prefer the Justin Herbert mold archetype here in this scheme. I think they'll be able to pound the ball enough with their running backs to not need him to be the one the engine that carries the running game. But I'm going to be thrilled to see him take on more of a Josh Allen type role where, we'll run a read option, but I will keep it and I will lower my shoulder if I need to get a first down. Let's see it. I'm excited for that.
I'm excited for it too, especially when you saw Jordan McFadden and then he started using Scott Matlock. You can clearly see what Harbaugh is trying to establish right now. And they're saying, the hell, I was surprised they had cut Ben Mason. I thought he was going to be the fullback. Say the hell with that. You're going to put a 300-pound defensive tackle that's going to get out there. And remember with Chicago back in the mid-'80s, they used to do that with refrigerator carry. They used to do that with refrigerator. We got down on the goal line. And I mean, it's hard to, and this guy was like 330, 340, refrigerator, you know.
Oh, yeah.
He wants to establish a dominant running game. And I clearly see it. I love it. I think it's going to bring out the best in Justin Herbert because you no longer have to have him throwing the ball 50 and 55 times where if you don't throw for 450 yards and 4 touchdowns, you don't have a chance. It don't have to be all on his shoulders all the time. And I think with J.K. Dobbins, who I think is going to have, he made me believe in him. I was kind of worried a little bit because of the injury history, but every time I hear him talk, the smile that this guy had and the confidence that he talk in, he ain't worried about no injury, you know. And he said something about the other day about I think a storm, you don't run from it, you run to it. I'm all bought in with J.K. Dobbins. And so with that, I can't wait to see what it's going to look like. You know, you hear about everything, and now the time is now to see what it's going to look like because these guys didn't play in the preseason at all. A lot of these starters didn't play. So we're really going to see what it looks like now. The Raiders do pose some challenges because they have Matt Crosby coming off the edge, and we got to see how Joe Alt is going to hold up against probably the best pass rusher in football. You got Kunze, you got Jenkins, you got Christian Wilkins that came over from Miami. So I want to see how this line hold up because this is going to be a big test this week. And that's the only position I see. If you can control the line of scrimmage, if you can control in the trenches, I think the Chargers got a great opportunity to get this win in SoFi over the Raiders.
Absolutely. It's a perfect matchup for week 1 because I don't think if the offense falters, if our rookie sensation Joe Alt loses a couple reps to Crosby, I'm not necessarily worried about the Raiders running away with it when we give them an opening. You know, Gardner's Minshew is a solid journeyman, backup quarterback or bridge starter, but he's not threatening anything. With the pass rush we have, I don't see him having a great game personally. And like you were saying before, with the Raider fans giving you crap, that last game would mean a lot more to them in my mind. I would be a lot more bummed about how that game finished if they didn't end up with Tom Telesco. And they don't know that yet. They don't know what that means yet. They're like, man, we got Bowers, we got, Powers Johnson. Yeah, man, we're used to getting great first round or second round picks, but wait for the rest of your picks to not pan out and to have no depth. How many guys were you trying out in preseason while we see Ortiz just churning the bottom of this roster?
Yes.
So it's a perfect matchup. It's a great story. I can't wait for it. It's going to be wonderful.
I can't neither, and it means a lot. Some Charger fans that have been around a long time that went through all the heartaches and the frustrations and the Chargering era. I remember all of that stuff, and it drove me absolutely crazy. There were times over the last decade the Chargers had, talent-wise, they had the best team, in the NFL. But we know, championships ain't won on paper. You got to go out there and do it on the field. But this is the first time in a long time since Air Coryell that I believe we going into a season where we don't have a disadvantage at the coaching position. No disrespect to Marty. I loved Marty, and I wish we would have kept Marty. Marty was great. I was pissed when we got rid of Marty. But to have somebody like Harbaugh who does nothing but win and have the quickest turnaround ratio everywhere he goes right away. I know a lot of people in the media, they're saying, 5 wins, 6 wins. And I've been surprised by that because it's Jim Harbaugh. It's Jim freaking Harbaugh. And they're talking about 5 wins. And I think it have a lot to do with just the Chargers. They say, it don't matter if Superman was coaching. It's the Chargers. And I think a lot of people are going to be surprised that you really, really forgot just how good of a motivator, of a coach that Jim Harbaugh is, and the staff that they got with with Greg Roman, and you brought back Shane Day from Justin Herbert went second year in the league when he threw over 5,000 yards. Harbaugh's not playing. He got all the coaches are in place. I expect this team to at least go 10-7 at least.
That is definitely my floor. I expect a winning record. And I really think a double-digit win is the double digits in the win column is where we should be expecting this team to go.
Yes.
What I think our fans need to remember is what an elite coach guiding your team through a season, especially this early on, looks like. When you and I talk about being excited about what Jim's going to do, we're not excited about him blowing teams out. We're not going to see this Charger team suddenly start winning by 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Right. Yes.
What we're hoping to see is those gritty end of games that we normally lose to flip to our side. Even if we're only, a point differential flip of 7-ish points. How many games would we have won in the last 3 years if we had been able to, been coached just a little bit better and just to
going
push us over that end.
For every 4th down play, we just go for it regardless of the situation. You know?
So it might not feel super different early on because we're still going to be fighting and gutting these things out, but you're going to see it in the win column. It's going to look a little cleaner. It's going to look, we're going to be finishing the games right. A lot of that stress that we have at the end of the games is still going to be there, but we're going to pull it out. Right. And then halfway through the season, we're going to be like, okay, something's different. Like we're a couple games over 500. That's just my prediction. What I think is going to happen. We're going to be a couple games over 500 and we're going to be like, something's starting to feel a little different.
Yes,
and then
I do.
We're going to finish strong because we've got depth. We've got the mentality with Jim. And then when the playoffs happen, who knows what's going to happen? We're not going to blow everyone out of the water out of the gate, but this is going to be a different team. And then as years progress, the talent will come with new draft picks, with free agents that we go and seek out. This is going to be the best era of Chargers football.
I agree.
Many of us have lived through.
I agree. And I think the key thing you said was depth. Your starters didn't play, so you got to see these guys in preseason, especially on the defensive side. And even though it's preseason, you don't want them guys to look bad. You watch because you want to see what these guys look like in this new scheme with Jim Harbaugh. And it was very impressive. They were very impressive. And that let you know that if any of your starters, Joe Ortiz did a great job of bringing in low risk, high reward players. And if they happen to, because sometimes you can't avoid it, if you happen to get injured, you have guys that's capable of coming in and be a bridge for 2 weeks until those guys come back. And I remember so many games. I may not be accurate because I'm thinking off the top of my head. I think over the last couple of years under Brandon Staley, we may have lost 18 games by 3 points or less. And if you think about those games we lost, how many times he went for it on fourth downs when he shouldn't have. A lot of criticism went to Justin Herbert. The criticism that I hated the most, because I get it, it's fair. Quarterbacks are judged by wins and losses. They take out everything else, don't matter. It's just about wins and losses. But in a lot of those games, Justin Herbert had us in the lead. And then now we depended on our defense. And they would let teams just march right down. And then we would have another shot. And Austin Eckler, as much as I loved him, he was great for us 2 years in a row. He led the league in rushing touchdowns and a whole nine. So I get a lot of love for Austin Eckler. But we weren't built the kind of way that, okay, here's one drive. There's 1 minute and 50 seconds left. All you need to do is convert one first down, and we can start running this clock out. But that's not Austin Eckler's game, running it between. And everyone knew it. He would get all that scat stuff early in the games and scoring the touchdowns and all these, screen plays. He would get all that stuff off. But when it tightened up, when the game is on the line, they tighten up. And they put 9 in the box. They knew they were going to try to run it to try to run the clock out. And they would go 1, 2, 3 and out. Now, how do you feel now with Gus Bus and J.K. Dobbins back there? I have a lot more confidence in knowing now all we needed to do is convert one first down. But you're going to have an aggressive, physical offensive line with a big fullback converted from a defensive tackle. And got Gus Bus, who's really a big dude at 6'3", 242 pounds. Or Dobbins. How do we feel now as opposed to having a mediocre line with Austin Eckler trying to convert? Oh, so I love it. I think that people are sleeping on this Chargers team. I think that we've been flying under the radar. That's why we don't have any primetime games. I'm fine with that. I'm sick of all the seasons that they're talking Super Bowl or bust. Now we under the radar. Nobody's expecting nothing from us. But guess what? Come week 12, week 13, they're going to say, ho. Where the hell did this Charger team come from? Look at what the hell the Chargers are doing. I really believe that we're going to get a wild card spot, and I can't wait to see it manifest itself.
Wild card spot, but I still think this team can compete against the Chiefs. So we'll see. We're built to compete against them. So,
are you talking about competing against them as a team, or are you talking about competing for the division?
It's a good question. I'm hoping.
I'm hoping too.
It's not my expectation, Stacey, at all. But it's got to happen eventually, man.
Yeah,
when Kelsey misses is down a couple steps, loses a step or two. How Patrick is going to adjust is going to be interesting. And I still think we got a chance against those guys in the regular season. They did not look super crisp last year. And they still, granted, what great coaching can do, that's exactly what we were talking about. They weren't blowing people out of the water during the regular season. They had a lot of weaknesses last season, lost to the Lions in week 1.
The drop passes were an issue for them too.
What was that?
The drop passes were a big issue for them during the season.
Yeah, they couldn't figure out the receiver room. And Rashee Rice, we don't know what's really going to happen with him. It seems like he won't get suspended until next year. But even still, they were Andy Reid just basically pulled them through and got extra wins out of that team that other
Yeah.
coaches wouldn't have been able to. So that's
Yeah,
the
he's a
kind of
great
coaching
coach.
that
I
we
give
get.
it to him. He's a great coach.
Yeah,
You know,
that's what we should be expecting. Is
but
from
we
our
played the
end.
Chiefs harder and better than any other team over the last 5. We've always played the Chiefs hard. A lot of times
Absolutely.
our game has come down to the last possession with the Chiefs.
Almost
with
every game.
Mahomes. Yes.
Almost every game. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't doubt that they're going to compete against them. You know, for division. Oh, listen, I would love it, absolutely love it if they can. And I'm not saying they can't do it, but I'm expecting a wild card. And if they do better, I'll enjoy that even more. But that's a lot, though. You know, right now it's Mahomes and everybody else underneath, and until somebody go up there and knock them off of that mountain that they on. Hey, look, you know, maybe we can do it. You know,
yeah. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Now's the time to hope.
Yeah, it is. It really is. So this game against the final thought I'm going to say on this game with the Raiders, for me, for all that we've been through and all the hype that was surrounding Harbaugh and all the people he brought in, and with Greg Roman and everybody's resume, he's coming off a national championship with Michigan, and we know the record that he's won everywhere he's went. And now to come here to the Chargers, the season is not going to be over after week 1. You still going to have 16 games left. If we win, it doesn't guarantee anything the other 16 games. And if we lose, you still have a shot. But for the psyche, for us, for Charger fans, we want to see that new era kick in and start off with the win, because Lord have mercy, we've been so fragile of an organization, the fan base, that a loss will make people go, oh God, here we go again. Oh God, we just the Chargers. And I hope that we don't go there and we get out of it, because it's a new day. You know, I didn't seen enough football to know that Jim Harbaugh came here for a reason. He seen the talent that's on this team. You talking about Gardner Minshew. We talk about the problem that their defensive line that they got with Christian Wilkinson and Matt Crosby. Well, they have to worry about Bud Dupree and Tui Tulopu. They got to worry about Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. Ortiz knew what the hell they were doing. They got the right people here, man. So I'm not going to lie. And, you know, hopefully I'll put my foot in my mouth. I'm expecting a dominant defensive performance. For it to be a tight game at halftime, and then third quarter, they start imposing their will. That's what I'm expecting.
Man, you just made me think about what it felt like having Marty as our coach when we would come out of halftime and actually had a motivator's influence, right? And they would come out looking like they were ready to tear someone's head off, man. And
yeah.
I don't remember the last time we had something like that. I remember that's what I thought we were going to get with Lynn, man. We had that one. There's that one picture of him on the sidelines flexing, and man, for a while that was like, I was like, oh man, this is going to be our new identity, our culture. I love it.
Yeah,
it just didn't really come true.
It was a nice start, but it didn't. And it didn't end too well, you know.
Yeah, but yeah, Stacey, to wrap up the game preview, this is such a great opportunity for the chapter with Telesco to be closed.
Yes.
And there's no better script you could write for the Raiders to have been the ones that got him canned finally.
Yes.
He got walked out the building, and now somehow he got hired by them. Yes. And we play them in week 1, and we get the hottest coach on the market that's been available in who knows how long.
Yes.
And they're coming to our stadium, and Telesco's going to be back in town, and we are going to, I don't want to say smoke them, but we're going to make Raider fans realize why we were excited the day after that huge loss. When it was announced that Telesco and Staley were gone, we were celebrating. We were thrilled. I was watching the game. I was in my kitchen, and I took a shot with a buddy that was watching the game and said, this is the end of the era. Like, this is the best thing that could have happened at like 0.50.
Yeah.
It's like, this is what we finally need. Yes. So if this happens and we really, we win by a decent amount, it's going to feel like closure for a lot of fans, I think.
You could win by 1 point and still be dominant, and still they only have maybe 150 yards passing and maybe 45, 50 something yards rushing. That's still dominant. Even if you only win by 3 points, it still can be a dominant. I want to see this defense. Everybody talk about everybody's pass rush and their defensive line. And I'm like, hey, y'all haven't been paying attention. You know, we know what Tui Tulopu is. we know, but having Bud Dupree would be a starter on a lot of teams, and he's a backup. With Khalil and Joey. So I think people have really underestimated us and threw us to the side, like, it's just the Chargers. But you're gonna quickly realize that, man, we forgot about Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh is really that dude.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait to see it happen. And afterwards, how I felt when they all were fired. I thought it was a blessing in disguise as a Charger fan. I hate to see us lose like that. Not only like that, but to lose to the Raiders, because I can't stand the Raiders. So for that to happen that way, but the blessing is it caused them to make the move right away and get them out of there, and so I'm thankful for that. If that wouldn't have happened, maybe Harbaugh wouldn't be our coach right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I know that may sound like an excuse for Raider fans, but it's really the truth, though.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I completely agree, Stacey. So let's buckle in and enjoy this game.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. I'm looking forward to it. Well, that ends another segment of Chargers Talk 4630. Me and Kyle want to thank you for tuning in, and don't forget to log on to stormcloud.blog to check out some great content covering the Chargers. I also wrote an article covering previewing the game against the Raiders and Chargers. I hope you guys can go there and check that out. Hopefully Monday morning on our next podcast, we will be able to talk about a great Chargers victory and Harbaugh getting his first win as the head coach of the Chargers. But until Monday, be good, be well, enjoy the games tonight, Friday night. Then it's back to the NFL Sunday and Monday night. Football is back. Boat up, y'all. We'll see you soon. All right, Kyle, thanks a lot, man. Great pod today.
Thank you, Stacey. Thanks for having me.
100%.